you ready to make technology work for you? Tune in to Act on Tech, the podcast where we break down the latest tech trends and show you how to boost your productivity at home and in your business. So, subscribe to Act on Tech today and visit alexcustomtech.com to see how we can take your business to the next level. That's Act on Tech, your guide to smarter tech for a smarter business. Alex Custom Tech, IT means integrity and trust.
Hello, hi. Welcome to Act on Tech, where we talk all things technology. I am Alex of Alex Custom Tech, and today's episode we're going to talk all about building the right tech stack and, for your small business in 2025. I don't like locking things down and saying, we do this in 2025 or 2026 or whatever year it is, because I'm using stuff in my business that I've been using since mid-2000s, okay? But we're going to talk about how we made those decisions, how we home in on an app and how we audit it and reevaluate it and decide if we keep it or not. We're going to talk about that, all right? So let's get into it. You don't need every app on the market, but you do need the right tools in the right place. So today we're going to break down what your business really need to run efficiently, stay secure, and grow without wasting money, bloated subscriptions, right? So wasting money and bloated subscriptions, basically, because you know how I feel about subscriptions. I'm not a fan of all these paying out of different things every month. I'm not a fan. Again, I'm not saying that you can't do it at all. I'm not saying that, it doesn't have a place. It does, but you need to know your budget and what you're comfortable with, and if you need it or not. Because I have to read audit, even do. Right now I'm talking about this. The reason I'm talking about this, to be honest with you, is because I'm going through this transition right now within my business. I'm going through the apps. I'm doing my audit, and I'm saying, okay, what do I need and what I don't need? What am I paying for that I can do on my own, and what I need to pay for that I'm doing on my own? I'm doing a horrible job. So I'm doing that audit right now, and I'm saying this is the perfect time to talk about this with my podcast, because I am going through it now, so it's fresh in my mind. And like I said, I'm kind of veering off the security stuff for a little bit. So let's talk about this topic. So I'm going to try to see if I can make it coherent and so that you can understand where I'm coming from. So we're going to talk about terms again, because I don't know how. I think my audience is not that well versed in technology. I'm trying to open your minds, open your eyes up, and kind of cut away from the jargon and giving you, tech speak, but at the same time explaining to you what it is. So when we talk about tech stacks, right? Term, it just means a group of applications or app platforms or system you guys use to get your work done. So it's multiple applications, right, that you have in your business that you use to be able to do your service. But for a lot of small business owners, they end up looking like a mess, basically, right? Because half the apps overlap with other apps. Some of them are outdated, like you were using them, but there's no security on them, right? And so today we're gonna really walk through the core tech stacks you need, or categories, right? Because there's different tech stack for different categories, right? Or the different tech stack. All right, let me rephrase that. There are different apps that do different things, and you're gonna have to pick one from each category to make it a part of your stack, right? So I'm gonna recommend a couple, right? Because I did some research, because like I said, I'm going through this process right now with Alex Custom Tech, because I'm doing my audit. I do my audit on every summer. I do a lot of stuff every summer. I look at my equipment, hardware. I look at my network. I look at a lot of stuff during the summer, because that's when I have the time to do it. And I'm doing this right now, right? And I've leaned in on a couple of applications, and I want to run through them with you guys, and I'm going to actually recommend some other ones, right? So, and again, this doesn't matter if you're solo like myself or you have a team or whatever. Okay, this is something that you guys need to do or consider. Or again, like I said, your your MSP can help you with this because they're the ones that are familiar with the applications or whatever, and you can say, hey, I need an application that does this, and then they'll make recommendation. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the categories, right, of applications that one can make a part of their stack. So, like one of the first ones we're going to talk about communication and collaboration. Okay, so communication, how you guys communicate with people, your team, the people outside your organization, and how you collaborate with other businesses, other vendors. All right. So, of course, everybody knows that email and email calendar. So you have your Microsoft or your Google, you have your Gmail. That's a application that whatever email provider you use, that's going to be your part of your category of communication, right? And that could you put that in your that's the first thing that's in your stack. You use Microsoft 360 as your email communication. That's number one in your stack. Or you can say, like me, I use Google, right? I use Gmail as a part of my stack, which I'm not going anywhere. I love that. So I'm like, okay, Google is my email application. That's right. So that's what you use. So Google Workspace is what I use. Some people use Microsoft 360. People are more comfortable with that, right? So that's your email and calendar application. Now, if you're going to have communication within your organization with your team, what you're going to use? Well, some people use Microsoft Team because that comes built in with the Microsoft OS, right? Or you can use Slack. Slack is another application that works really well. You can use that if you want to do your team communication. A lot of things, like a lot of people who do, again, it's tech heavy, but people who do web design and that kind of stuff, they'll use that to collaborate with other people, right? Because one person might be building one application on the website, maybe they're doing the back end, another person doing the front end, and then they collaborate, and they might use Slack to do that, all right? And video meetings. So say you have video meetings, so you have a bunch of people who work from home, and you want to check in with them every once in a while, like every Monday or every Tuesday, you have meetings, right? Another application you can lean on is like Zoom. Zoom became very popular during the COVID-19 epidemic. People were leaning into Zoom heavily, and Zoom does that. But there's another one called Teams that do it also. And then again, there's open source that's out there, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But so Team and Zoom, you can use that for your video communication. And just a little additional one if you want. So say you use shared drive, like we do this a lot at my day job, pretty much, right? We use Google Drive a lot. Google Drive, I prefer Google Drive. I'm a big fan of Google Drive if you're doing things where everybody's working on the same application or the same sheets or same document, right? Google Drive updates those changes to it instantly, and it saves it automatically. So I'm a Google Drive kind of guy. I promote Google Drive. I promote a lot of things within Google, right? So Google Drive is one, but you can also use OneDrive. OneDrive is also pretty good. And with this stuff, when you're doing with shared documents and shared drive, you don't have to really do this via email. There's something that you can do in real time. You open the application, you make your edits, and then it's changed or updated all across the organization instantly. So that's for communication and collaboration, right? So we talk about stacks, right? And what a stack is. I want to make sure, because this is kind of complicated. So I want to, so I can make sure you walk through this, guys, here. Understand? So your business stack look the different for every business, right? You have to pick the applications that you have that make your business run, right? So like I said, you talk about communication. We just went through the communication and what you would pick if it works for you in your business, and that's your communication stack, right? So project and task management. So I don't really have one of these, to be honest with you, but I was looking into it just this week because I'm like, I need to work on some things within Alex Custom Tech and rework my stack, and I came across some really interesting things. So when it comes to project and task management, you have you might have, like myself, where I work solo, right? Or some people who have, teams that they work with. You need some kind of project management system to communicate, to follow along with the progress of the project, where you are in the project, who needs to do what and who's responsible for what, right? So Trello, which I came across, seems like it's freaking awesome, right? And you have Todoist, right, which it's a project management thing, but you can use that for yourself, like on your own as a solo person. And you have Trello, and you have Todoist, and you have Notion. Notion is also another pretty good one too, right? And I'm dropping these names, and you guys can write them down and look them up on your own. But you pick one that you would like to use as a project management or a management application for yourself. You pick one and you say, okay, boom. Under category of management, I use Notion, and that's my application. And the key thing about these applications that you're putting into your stack, you want to make sure that you only use that. Don't just ignore the noise. Pick an application and say, okay, this is what I'm going to use. Right now, for client facing or structured team, right? You want to think about maybe ClickUp or Asana or Monday.com. Monday.com is all over YouTube. You can watch it. And when I say client facing, it's like what the clients see and how do I explain it? It's kind of like a website, but it's not a website. It's a website, but it's your website, and I don't want to say it like that either. It's client facing. So your clients are seeing this application, how you configure it, customize it, so they can communicate with you or they can get in touch with you, right? That's kind of how it is. And that's why Monday and Asana and ClickUp works. And they really work really, really well. Remember, for project management, this is a project management category, right? So you are working on a project for a client, or you're working for a project for, you're working in collaboration with a vendor or something like that. You will use ClickUp or Asana or Monday.com, right? And Monday.com is a part of that whole CRM thing, but we're going to go into CRMs later, right? So choose one tool that actually work for you, and don't mix and match different ones, because I was doing that. And that's kind of why I'm cleaning the house, because I was doing that. I really was. And I'm like, why am I using all the different tools? Because basically, in the beginning, I was really trying them out, but I never actually stopped using the ones that I weren't using. I still kept the ones that I weren't using, right? And that's where you have this mess, this clutter thing going on. All right, now customer relation management. So I mentioned Monday. Monday is kind of like this, but we're gonna go into that deeper. So customer relationship management system, and this is kind of what I struggle with, because I'm as an introvert, like I'm not a big fan of the phone calls all the time, or I'm an email text kind of person. But some people want that communication consistently, and I realize that doesn't work well for my personality. I just have to come to some kind of middle ground. That's why I'm really focusing on the communication and the CRM part of my business, because I want to actually find something that works with my personality, at the same time give the customer what they need to feel like they're engaged with the business, right? Because if you reach out to me, I'm with a customer and I'm answering the phone, but I do have something set up, like, so you call and then you'll get the voicemail, you leave a message, and I call you back within 24 hours. Right? Definitely will happen, right? Or you call and you give me an email, I'll get to that within 24 hours, right? So, but I kind of want to speed up my reaction time to people calling, right? But at the same time, I don't want to compromise my introvert personality at the same time. So I want to do something that I'm comfortable with at the same time. So when people call, I want to be able to respond to you in a timely manner, but at the same time, I don't want to feel like I'm feeling anxiety because I call this person back. I know it's keeping it real, 100, right? Because I do like, in fact, I do love what I do. So I do want to reach out to you guys as soon as you call me, right? But again, who knows what I'm doing? Who knows what, what's going on? So I want to make sure I want to cut down the 24 hours to like maybe my goal would be like within that business day, right? So whenever you call me, I want to call you back within that day, as long as within the business hours. Makes sense? That's kind of what my goal is, and it might not seem like a big deal, but like for me as an introvert, it is. So CRMs are important, right? So customer relationship management. Okay, here's what they do. So for me, I want a simple CRM. So a simple CRM, example for one of those is like, HubSpot, which has a free tier. So the good thing about that is like you don't have to pay for it. You can use it out before you pay for it. And what I'm leaning towards now, because I've always had them, but I've never really used them, was Zoho. So Zoho has like paid tiers and free tiers. And Zoho has a lot of stuff. So to be honest with you, you can have Zoho alone as a stack, because Zoho pretty much covers like all the things in there. But again, Zoho's email, right, might not be as good as Google's. So even though they have everything in-house, all the applications in-house, so Zoho in itself is just one big stack of stuff. So you can pick and choose what you want. But I wouldn't give up Workspace for Zoho, right? But for me, Zoho has a wonderful ticketing system that I'm leaning towards, right? So, okay, I'm taking that. So Zoho have a ticketing system that I like, and they have something else that I like. And they have a pretty good CRM, which is a part of the ticketing system for me as a tech guy, right? So Zoho works for me. But again, like I said, Hotspot works also. And for more advanced people, for more advanced complicated business, right, you can do Pipe Drive. Keeps another good one. And of course, a lot of businesses use Salesforce. I've come across Salesforce a ton of times, right? And it's good for scaling. So it starts Salesforce now, you have like a 5 or a 6 man team, and then you can leave Salesforce in there, and you can grow and have Salesforce. Okay, so that's perfect. So a good CRM helps you track leads, automate follow-ups, and manage customer info securely. That's what I'm talking about. I need to improve on my customer service. And again, you always need to improve in your customer service in your business. So don't take this like I'm horrible at customer service. It's not that. It's that I want to have a better standard than what I have, because sometimes I get in my own way. And this is Alex Custom Tech I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, and if this you can relate to this, that's fine. But like, I love doing the tech, right? I'm not very good at the socializing or the soft skills, put it like that. I'm very bad at soft skills, and up to this day, I don't think it's really important. To be honest with you, I'm going to be real, but people do need to be communicated with, and customers do need to be told where we are in the process of repairing or setting up things, or what changes were made, and maybe an email is not good enough, maybe or maybe an email once a week isn't good for some customers. So I just want to have more a communicative style with customers. At the same time, I don't want to forego my principles in the process, and that's kind of that weird balance I'm trying to achieve. So, like I said, I like Zoho right now. That's my go-to. That might not work for you, right? Because Zoho does have a learning curve. All of these have a learning curve. When you pick one, stick to it, and learn that application, and then put it in the part of your stack. Okay, so we covered CRMs. Now, invoice and payments. Now, you want to have something that you use as an invoicing application. So one of the thing about it is a lot of things out there, right? So, like for me, that's a freelancer or a service business like Alex Custom Tech. There's Wave, Square, PayPal business. So I use Stripe and PayPal in conjunction. So I use both of them, right? And every time, and I like that because I only have to worry about payments when I get paid. So, and I gotta pay for them every monthly subscription. They'll get their money when I get paid for a job, right? And integrating accounting. So integrating accounting is one thing that I struggle with. Like right now, I'm just using a spreadsheet, right, and keeping track of things that way, because I struggle with the payment. So like for instance, like QuickBooks Online, is wonderful. I mean, and the thing about QuickBooks Online, and I'm not getting paid for any of these businesses. I'm promoting them. QuickBooks, to me, if you're like, what I should be using is QuickBooks, put it like that, right? But financially right now, I'm paying for so much other stuff. I'm like, well, I could just spreadsheet this and put some formulas in there and keep track of it that way. I'm not recommending you do that. I recommend you do QuickBooks. Here's why. And I wouldn't even mention there's also FreshBooks, but from my experience, if you have an accountant, 9 times out of 10, they're using QuickBooks, right? So it's just use the application that other accountants are using, so it's easier for them. If you use something else, like for instance, I'm tech savvy, so I know how to transfer my spreadsheet that I have into QuickBooks and keep it moving if I had to. But if you're not that tech savvy, just go with QuickBooks. It's not that expensive, right? I find it annoying because back in the day, I remember when QuickBooks, you pay for it once and you would just have it on your computer. That's how old I am, just telling my age. But you buy QuickBooks, put it in your computer, and you're done, right? That's not how it is anymore. Okay, you gotta pay every month for this thing. So that's kind of where I am struggling with it. Not that it's a bad application, it's just that I am trying to narrow down all these subscriptions, and I'm like, well, I can do that myself. So that's what I'm doing, right? But I would recommend QuickBooks in a heartbeat. I think it's very streamlined, it's very easy to understand, and it makes your accounting simple. And I'm telling you right now, the accounting thing is like the black cloud that I hate about business. And it's not like I am bad with money or anything like that. It's just that keeping track of what category what goes into for tax purposes is just tedious and annoying and tyrannical and just all these bad things. Okay, because I shouldn't have to worry about that. And again, I can't make the world what I want the world to be. We gotta pay our taxes and we gotta do all this stuff that's important, but it's just this looming thing hanging over your business all the time, and it's distracting. And that's just my opinion, that's my take on it. Okay, but recommend if you have QuickBooks, that looming cloud disappears. Okay, because you have QuickBooks, you have an accountant, you have access to your QuickBooks, you don't have any problem solved. Literally, the only trade-off is that you gotta pay for it every month, right? So integrated accounting. So you want your accounting software to integrate with other things, with pretty much your not really say a CRM, but your ticketing or your invoicing thing. So for instance, I don't use QuickBooks. I use something that's open source that I run on my own server called Invoice Ninja. But my Stripe and my PayPal is integrated into it, so the customer doesn't see the things behind the scenes. They just pay with a credit card and go through no problem. Right now, we're gonna touch on security a little bit. All right, so because it's gonna have to be a part of your stack. Right. So what cybersecurity essentials do you need? Right, you're gonna need a password management. We talked about that in other a podcast before. So I'm leaning towards Bitward is 1Pass, and of course we talk about Aurora and those other things. 2FA, 2FA. You have to do a Microsoft Authenticator. You can use that. You have antivirus r/EDR. We talked about that before. Remember, I talked about that before. Microsoft Defender for Business. That's one. That comes with Microsoft anyway. If you're a business, you can pay for that. That's not a problem. And you have SentinelOne, which is pretty good also. Member backups is also a part of the cybersecurity and the prevention or the recovery process, right? So you have Backblaze, Acon, and cloud-based backup for your documents, right? Not gonna go into that too much. I'm gonna skipping over the cybersecurity stuff because I don't want to go into that and get all passionate about that right now. So websites. So we're going through the categories and we're saying, okay, what you're gonna pick for each category, and that's gonna be a part of your stack for your business based on how you want to set it up. So website builders, right? So website builders are a website that actually you can go there, you can drag and drop stuff and set up your website and go off to the races. So you can hire someone to build your website for you. All right. So WordPress is free, right? You can build a website with WordPress, and you can use Wix. We use Wix. Believe it or not, Alex Custom Tech is built on Wix. I built it, but it's built on Wix. And you have Squarespace. That's also a good one, right? If you're not tech savvy, right? And you have email marketing, which I don't do, but people do it. MailChimp, Bravo, those are all applications you can use to do email marketing. Email marketing is important. I'm not trying to tell you it's not. I just have to figure out for myself how I'm going to navigate that space, because again, introvert. And social media. So Buffer is good. What Buffer does is that you can do an article or whatever you want to post, and you can put it in Buffer, and then now it send it out to all your email, your social media platforms, right? And later than that, and of course, you can do what I use a lot. If you look at my post, you might see me have like images and that kind of stuff. I use Canva to do those images, right? It helps with help pull people's eyes on the article you're writing or the post or whatever. So that's for your website and marketing. And website, I put website in marketing because that's kind of like, for me, how we do Alex Custom Tech, everything goes to the website. Website is the hub, and everything goes to there, and then I go from there. Because even like this podcast sits on the website, right? You can find it other places, but the website is where it really sits, right? Now, file storage and document management, right? Like I tell you, I'm praising it from the heavens. Google Drive is what I use. Now, people don't like Google for a lot of political reasons, because Google don't pay taxes and yada 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 yada. I don't care. I really don't care. Google as a company offers services that I like. So again, all these companies up front and honest and perfect, no. They're in business to make money, and they do collect your information, and they do sell it. We know all of that stuff, right? Again, if you're online, you're supposed to have Aurora anyway. You're supposed to be scanning the dark web. You're supposed to be doing that. So if you Google sell your information and you have Aurora, you can then know if anything happens to Google. You can know if Google got breached. You can know, because Aurora is going to let you know, right? So you have to have your own thing in place to protect your information. So I don't know why people are so afraid of these technology and Google and all this other stuff, when there's things in place to protect you if you do your due diligence. So there's no need for that. So I heavily Google based. Again, I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just saying, for me and how I do business, Google works for me perfect, because I love Google Calendar, I love Google emails, and I love Google Drive. So a lot of the things that I do, I would say 70% or 60% of my application stack is Google based, right? So Google Drive I love it, and Microsoft has a OneDrive also for everyday files. So like application you're working on, everybody is working on the same application, Google Drive or OneDrive, right? For sensitive data that need to be encrypted, you might want to go with like Nextcloud, a Nextcloud setup. So Nextcloud setup, well, I have Nextcloud here in the business, but it's a server that runs Nextcloud. So Nextcloud is really good for encryption. You can have a file, you can encrypt the file so nobody can open the file unless they have the password or the key, right? It's kind of like a brief synopsis about what it does, but that's kind of what it is. Nobody can get to that file without the key, right? So organize your folders in naming conventional ways. So what that means is that people should be able to find your folders really easy. I spend a lot of time, sometimes too much time, because I organize things too much. So sometimes I have to take a step back from that. But for example, my radio station, I have a bunch of folders for the music. So I organize the music based on genres. So I'll have one folder that says music, and it's labeled music. And then in that folder, you have like R&B from the 80s and R&B from the 70s. And that's kind of how I separate each folder and organize it in a way that it's easily findable. And I have these big long words Then just make it simple, organized, make it conventional, and then I keep it going that way. And that's just a music folder, and I have another folder that says maybe commercials, paid commercials, not paid commercials, or I have like sweepers, or that kind of stuff. Just everything separated in its own folder, and then I try to put the corresponding things in that folder and keep it consistent, and that's how you do that. So I know the podcast is running pretty long, but yeah, that's how we do that. So that's how you organize the thing. So like bonus would be like maybe Zapper or Make.com. You can automate some of the tasks with these, some of the things that you do all the time. If you can automate some of those things, that'll be perfect. Like one of the things that I'm trying to automate right now is the emails, text. So say you call me and we talk, or we have email back and forth, and we say I need you to come out, or I need you to set up a remote session in my computer Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I want to automate a system that then confirms, that send you a text, say, hey, just a reminder, Alex Custom Tech is going to be reaching out to you on Wednesday 11 o'clock. Do you confirm? And then you say yes. And that I want it to be automated. Like I don't want to have to sit there and do that all the time. So that's kind of why I'm doing my research right now to figure out, okay, what do I have to keep? What am I going to let go in my stack? What am I using? What am I paying for that I don't need to pay for? What can I run as open source? What can I? So it's a whole work. It's a whole process, but you have to kind of navigate it along. And I think recommend every year you should look at it and say, okay, audit it every year. What do I have? What am I keeping? What am I not keeping? And so on and so forth. And that's, I think, how you do it. So I don't want to go any further with this podcast. So it's already 31 minutes in. So yeah. So the takeaway, audit your current tech stack, what tools you're paying for, and what you're not using. Choose one app per function and stick to it, like I told you before. Make sure your tools are integrated, make sure they work with each other, they communicate with each other. It doesn't have to be, but make sure them, if they can communicate with each other, utilize that. And of course, if you need help to automate your workflow, of course, let your MSP know. Company like mine, let us know, and we can help you with that. All right. So, like I always say, always stay focused, stay productive, and keep acting on tech.